seen it before, Mr. Corley.
Yes, of course. I was here only last spring.
We tried to leave his things as he had left them, but we did take the liberty of tidying up his drawers a bit. Not that they were messy, you understand.
Of course.
On the contrary, Jeffrey was a very tidy young man.
Yes, he was, wasn't he?
These are some of his trophies and medals that he's won in the past year at the tennis matches and at the track. I suppose you've seen them also.
I believe I've seen some of them. But this one's new, isn't it? I see it's another award he received for his tennis playing.
He was quite the athlete, your young man.
I know.
The staff had that one especially engraved for Jeffrey. We asked him what he wanted inscribed on it, which was, I suppose, a little irregular, but we wanted to make sure that it pleased him.
That was very thoughtful of you.
I'm afraid he was a little embarrassed by a gesture. You know, he was a modest boy. In fact, at first he said he didn't even want us to put his name on the cup.
Oh, I noticed you did anyway.
We certainly did. It was our way of letting him know how we all felt about him, and what a delight it was having him as a student here. Also, I must admit, a top athlete makes the school an exceptionally exciting place, and it isn't too often to come across one like Jeffrey, the great Matthews.
Oh, I've seen some of your other students play, and they're really quite superior, too.
Perhaps, but none of them as outstanding as your son, Mr. Corley. And I hope you believe that. And I'm not merely saying it because of what happened with them. We may not have too frequent a chance to chat in the future, you and I, at least not like this. And I hope this isn't impertinence masking as a school principal's impediment, Mr. Corley.
What I value most is your wanting to speak to me about Jeffrey at all. As a matter of fact, I welcome anything you might have to tell me about him, no matter how insignificant it may seem. In a sense, that's why I felt I had to come back here, to see his room, speak with his instructors, touch the very things that he himself touched. My family tried to discourage me from coming here. They said it would be turning his death into a kind of obsession. But I'm glad I didn't listen to them. I believe once this sojourn is over, I would have brought a sort of end to everything. Am I making myself clear, Dr. Becker?
Oh, of course. And that's why I had to tell you how admired Jeffrey was.
Oh, you must feel free to tell me anything you can about him, the things he did, the things he thought, because this is perhaps the last glimpse I'm going to be permitted to see of them.
He always was an intelligent young man.
Yes, that I know.
He gave the appearance of a fine boy with a good background.
But what about his interests? Or was being a star athlete the only thing that mattered to him?
I would have thought Jeffrey had written about his interests, I mean.
Oh, there were letters, and I read them. But I'm sorry to admit that I never really paid enough attention to what they were telling me. I suppose it's always because they seemed to reach me at some crucial point in my travels. I remember one letter arriving when I was just finishing up a little management consultant assignment in London. I never really got a chance to read that until about a month later when I was in Tyrol on still another job. Traveling around like that can make one forget personal contact, and that, I suppose, is a dreadful thing.
I'm sure Jeffrey never felt a lack of personal contact with you, Mr. Corley, and I don't suppose I'm stepping out of bounds for saying that.
Have he ever spoken to you about me?
Oh, often, but he confided in me quite a bit. We got along rather well, your son and I.
And he never once mentioned that I may have been negligent about him, that he perhaps felt I was rejecting him?
No, not once have he ever mentioned anything like that. The fact that you appreciated him having won so many games in a row, so many games and trophies, thrilled him beyond belief. And the fact that you appreciated him having won all that, he knew that it made you happy.
Was that why he came to the swimming tournament?
Why? Perhaps it may have been. He always knew you were a champion swimmer yourself. That swimming was the one sport that he was just a little weak, so he tried.
He tried until he drowned himself.
Now, I didn't mean that, Mr. Corlin. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that at all.
Were you there when it happened?
I was in my office, but I heard about it moments afterwards. My office, you see, is right next to the gym building.
They told me it happened very quickly.
Yes, I believe that's true.
They said he was out there in the center of the pool, all alone. There were no other swimmers near him. It was just a cramp, a tightening of the stomach muscles, and he went under.
When the guard saw what was happening, he dived into the pool, but Jeffrey was already gone. I swear to you, we did everything we could to try to revive him.
I know, Dr. Becker. The others gave me a complete report. I want you to know I'm not blaming the school. An accident like that could never happen out of negligence. It's just one of those strange freak occurrences that one reads about in books, but which one doubts would ever happen in real life.
I should have never said why he insisted on entering the swimming tournament. It was stupid and callous. He didn't merely swim to please you. Gray Matthews isn't to blame for what happened to your son, and you're not to blame either.
When he won that tennis cup last spring, I wrote him a long letter and I told him how pleased he had made me. Perhaps I sounded too pleased and he wanted to please me even further. Well, we shouldn't dwell on this. This may sound like a silly question, Dr. Becker, but did Jeffrey have many girlfriends?
No more, no less than the average 15-year-old, I suppose. The boys here are friendly with the girls from Reardon School, which is a mile and a half away. We have dances with Reardon at least once a month.
I suppose he would have liked to have known more girls. He never really was around too many ladies. But what about friends? Did he have any close buddies?
Oh, they did too. Yeah, we didn't have a chance to meet some of them today. Most of the students, including Jeffrey's roommates, are all gone away for the summer. We wouldn't merely talk to great length with them. There's just a handful left, and those whose families are a little more lenient or away on vacation.
I probably would have let Jeffrey stay on too, at least until the beginning of August. When he was here last summer, he wrote and told me what a marvelous time he had had with the facilities almost entirely to himself.
Oh, in a sense they were, or should I say, generous, given his father.
Oh, no, I was happy to give whatever I could, Dr. Becker. Remember that the school is not only one of the most cherished places in Jeffrey's world, but also, quite a number of years ago, one of the most cherished places in mine, too.
I have a feeling this talk is making things worse for you.
No, of course not. Oh, perhaps it was wrong of me to have come here after all. I was so certain I was going to be strong. On the train coming up, I kept telling myself that, in a sense, I'd been lucky. Having Jeffrey was the only solid thing in my life. If nothing else, I could always cling to what I'd had. But now, seeing you, speaking with you and seeing his room. Oh, well, forgive me, Dr. Becker. I realize this must be painful for you too.
Would you like for me to help pack some of his belongings?
Oh, no, thank you. That was something I look forward to doing myself. I want to make sure all his belongings remain intact. I'm taking them back to his old room at home. What time is it now?
Oh. It's nearly 11:30. You'll be having lunch with us, so won't you?
No, thank you. I shan't stay very much longer. I just want to pack these things and be on my way. I want to be back in Boston by 2:30.
You'd like to be left alone then?
If you don't mind. That isn't against the rules, is it?
Of course not. Please stop by before you go. The others like to say goodbye.